Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how we did all this beautiful framing on the interior of our bus. So for framing the ceiling, Sven actually decided to steam bend our wood. So he used some extra supplies we had and then this fancy steaming machine, which we will link in the description. And he basically just made a little steam chamber where the wood would sit for about an hour and get more pliable. He added some fittings and wrenched on it for a little while, but it was pretty straightforward. So once everything was connected and the steaming machine was full of water, it was time for the wood to go inside the chamber and get steamy. It went really well except for a little bit of some malfunctions with our equipment. PVC and plastic are not the best to use when you're dealing with high heat.
It's like basically melting.
But even so, it worked out in the end. And after an hour or so, our boards were ready to come back out. One at a time, Sven removed one board, and then he would kind of bend it into shape, making it fit to the contour of our ceiling. Once they were bent, they were ready to come inside and get screwed onto the metal crossbeams. And these went on fairly well as this wasn't a huge bend in the wood. So you can see where that piece of wood ends, the bend increases. So we need another method to account for that steeper bend.
Look.
Whoa! It's like those wooden snakes.
Yeah. Whoops.
Since that didn't work with just the cuts alone, Sven decided then to cut the pieces down to size and put them in the steam chamber as well and get them nice and bendable. So he uses the little block on a string to help him be able to pull everything out once it's done steaming in about 1 or 2 hours so that he doesn't burn his hands. And the steam plus the cuts seemed to do the trick. All that was left was to screw all of these pieces into place. And once all of those pieces were secured into place, it was time to start framing out the walls, starting just below the window. And we also have our big RV window in the center of our passenger side of the bus, so that had to be framed in as well. And while Sven was finishing framing the window and the rear of the bus, I was responsible for cutting the wood to go into place from the windows down to the floor. And once I got the hang of that and got all the wood cut, Sven was able to then screw it into place. The wheel wells were an area that needed some extra attention because of their shape, so we decided we were going to frame them in, and we also were running low on our boards by this point, so there was a lot of math involved with trying to get the correct quantity out of our remaining wood. But basically, I measured the length and height of the wheel wells and constructed 3 squares that would then be screwed together to complete the frame. And math is not my strong suit, so there was a lot of writing and conceptualizing that went on. And Sven finished up framing the rear, and then he finished the wheel wells for me as well, cutting that wood and screwing them together, getting them all in place so that the wheel wells were perfectly framed. Once those frames were all complete, our framing was finished, and we are now ready for our closed cell spray foam insulation, which is happening later this week. So stay tuned to see that process and the rest.